As the year 2023 approaches its final, we look back at those video game titles that redefined the industry. It's a tradition to do so, and this year was definitely stocked full of absolute bangers, some worthy of the title of Game of the Year award. What's remarkable about the 2023 lineup is that it yielded too many candidates to fit on this list, but for what it's worth, these titles are definitely GOTY material. The real question is, which one will make it home? But for now, here's that list. Hey guys, what is up? I'm Xen, and today in this video, we have 10 video games that they deserve to be Game of the Year. So, make sure to subscribe, like, and of course, comment below. And if you want these top 10 videos, of course, like the video. And let's just jump to the video. Number 10. Resident Evil 4 Remake. What's not to say about Resident Evil 4 Remake that hasn't already been said about its predecessors and fellow remakes? The original captivated players at the time when the survival horror series had become calculated due to its own generic tropes, and the remake recaptures that feeling by reinventing the formula once again. Resident Evil 4 Remake goes even further by refining the new formula of the remakes along the way to become the standout of the entire series. Like a true remake, it manages to strike a clever balance between what was then and the now, with its approach to combat, exploration, treasure hunting, and the mercenaries mode. Ultimately, it's a solid 10 out of 10. Number 9. Street Fighter VI. Capcom hasn't lost a beat with the franchise that helped put it on the mark, which is why Street Fighter VI is more than a tough contender for Best Fighter of the Year. The game had what was by far the strongest launch for a fighter, proving that the company has learned plenty from the fumbled launch of its predecessor Street Fighter V. The roster of Street Fighter VI might pale in comparison to its predecessor, but it makes up for it with a far more colorful one on launch, one that will grow larger eventually as expected. Add to that the ability for players to create their very own fighters with no limit on anatomical features and AI-driven commentary that sounds as real as those of EVO, and a fine-tuned fighting system, and the rest is history. Number 8. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. No matter what generation they are currently in, Mario and his friends never seem to get left behind. Super Mario Bros. Wonder takes the classic 2D platformer world of the plumber that made him a legend in the first place and once again supplants it on the top of the pyramid. It does so through sheer nostalgia alone with its core level design, but there is more. On top of that, these levels are cleverly remixed through reality warping mechanics that turn things upside down, inside out, and etc. That isn't exactly new. Nintendo has definitely received a lot of flack over this, but as long as the twists and turns are unique in their own right, players are in for a good time. Super Mario Bros. Wonder proves again why the plumber is still the king of platformers. Number 7. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. The latest entry in the Legend of Zelda series, subtitled Tears of the Kingdom, can seem like a controversial entry to this list due to its precarious position, but it's well justified. The stigma surrounding stems from the fact that it's the direct sequel to the critically acclaimed Breath of the Wild, sculpted down to the exact same mold. As such, a vocal minority has formed around the idea that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is nothing more than a bulked up DLC for its predecessor, and they would be right. Tears of the Kingdom merely stacked extra layers on top of everything the last game was built on. However, these are intricate as what came before. There are newer areas to explore above and below the ground that significantly expand the world beyond its limitations. There are also new mechanics like contraption building, time manipulation, and more that radically change one's approach to the obstacles in the world. Ultimately, Tears of the Kingdom encompasses what a true sequel should be: revolutionary. Number 6. Baldur's Gate 3. It's been a long road ahead, but the threequel to one of the most groundbreaking RPG franchises is here and is shaped up to be what may very well be the best one of this generation. This year, Baldur's Gate 3 provided gamers with what is arguably the most essentially crafted online co-op RPG experience to date. And it couldn't have come at a better time, as the D&D franchise had undoubtedly stumbled over the years. Baldur's Gate 3 not only pulls the franchise up but its bootstraps, but also elevates it among its fellow RPGs. Everything is well thought out, from the masterfully written narrative to the methodically crafted party combat system. The game will rob players of hundreds of hours that could have been spent on touching grass. No one will ever want to go venturing out into the real world ever again after they boot up for some D&D. Number 5. Alan Wake 2. Though the survival horror genre has seen somewhat of a decline over the past few years, there are still some stellar releases to be had here and there. This year in particular seemed to be the one for highly anticipated sequels to some hair-raising franchise. The latest and most notable of these is Alan Wake 2, which definitely lives up to expectation after nearly 13 years apart from its predecessor's release. The first game paid homage to popular TV mystery franchises with award-winning results, and it seems the second game has exceeded its predecessor simply by upping the ante, featuring 2 playable characters, expanded mechanics, and overhauled visuals. All this while connecting the pieces needed to form a shared universe between Remedy's other franchises make Alan Wake 2 one of the best sequels of the century. Number 4. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 isn't just a contender for GOTY, it's practically the best superhero game to have ever been conceived. The game is both a sequel to Marvel's Spider-Man in 2018 and a follow-up to Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. That's a lot to unpack, but that's what makes it worthwhile. In fact, the sequel gathers everything that made its predecessors worthy of the Hall of the Fame for superhero games and refines them all. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 unites both Peter Parker and Miles Morales in an epic struggle to save everything they both love while creating conflict between them in a well-written narrative worthy of Stan Lee's stamp of approval. There are twists and turns to some of Spidey's iconic cast, as well as improvements to the already splendid web-slinging mechanics, capping off what could be the best trilogy in the genre. Number 3. Armored Core VI Fires of Rubicon. Mech combat games used to be a dime a dozen, but times have drastically changed. Nowadays, it's rare to find such a title, especially one that's worthy of GOTY awards. Fortunately, the legendary Armored Core franchise has stayed relevant due to absolute bangers like its latest entry subtitled Fires of Rubicon. Armored Core VI not only manages to reaffirm why mech games were an essential art form in the sci-fi action genre, but also elevates them to new heights in the process. Players can expect to hunt down enemy mechs across massive battlefronts with godlike directional controls and heart-pumping, frenetic action, all delivered in this well-endowed masterpiece from the minds of From Software. The only drawback with this mech game is that its cockpit is meant only for one. Multiplayer mech junkies will have to look elsewhere, but that shouldn't deter them from experiencing the best thing the genre has to offer. Number 2. Pikmin 4. Over the years, Nintendo has been carefully cultivating its Pikmin franchise into one of the most essential IPs for its consoles. The moment the first title sprouted from the GameCube, the real-time strategy game series has charmed everyone with its cutesy, minuscule alien ecosystem and easy-to-pick-up mechanics. Pikmin 4, the Nintendo switch-ups the ant with cuteness and strategy by adding simple changes and enhancements to the formula. Players now have access to night missions, making exploration that much more engaging. The game's ecosystem has also been expanded with over 100 enemy types, including elemental variants, new Pikmin to recruit, and even a new companion type in the form of man's best friend. Throw in some new modes, especially those geared toward multiplayer, you have what is essentially the biggest entry in the Pikmin franchise to date. Number 1. Final Fantasy XVI. For a while during the 2010s, Final Fantasy, the popular JRPG franchise, has struggled to captivate its audience abroad, relying on the fates of its domestic market. Disastrously launched entries such as Final Fantasy XIII and Final Fantasy XIV nearly drove fans away. Fortunately, more recent entries have renewed the face, their most recent entry being Final Fantasy XVI. This new title manages to do something that seems rare even for the franchise in the current generation, and that's juggling nostalgic tropes with modern ones almost flawlessly. Final Fantasy XVI drops players into a dark fantasy setting reminiscent of entries of old, while introducing some of the most thought-out, frenetic combat akin to today's action RPG titles. Everything shines here, making for what is arguably the best RPG of its generation. Final Fantasy is back again. Okay guys, this was the video of today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe, like, and of course comment below, and in the comment section tell me what games deserve to be Game of the Year in 2023. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Till the next video guys, see you soon.